We got some big news. Trump is joining the Reawaken America tour. If you're unfamiliar with the Reawaken America tour, it's this conference. It's been going around the country saying absolutely unhinged stuff for maybe a year now. I think they've been on tour for at least a year, maybe 2 years at this point. But we got some big hits out of it. It's like some really famous clips that were really, really unhinged. Jim Breuer, the comedian Jim Breuer, he went to the Reawaken America tour and, did this whole comedy routine that I personally didn't find very amusing, but to each their own, I suppose. You may remember this. This was from mid-December 2021 when this came out. Let me just show you just a few seconds from Jim Brewer's appearance at Reawaken America, just to kind of give you a little reminder of what happened.
You know what a cockatoo is? A cockatoo. And that's what everyone's become. Little cockatoos staring at the screen.
Facts and figures, facts and figures. Dr. Fauci, Dr. Fauci. Trust the science, trust the science.
Needless to say, he's a vaccine skeptic, if you can call him that, a vaccine skeptic or whatever. He's not the only one. That's kind of what the tour stands for. Not just anti-vax stuff, but the tour has been about all kinds of unhinged stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about. So let's watch this announcement that Trump is joining the tour, and then we're going to talk about what we find in the tour. What kind of speakers will be on stage with Trump? What kinds of ideas will speakers be sharing with Trump there? This is early June 2022. This is the announcement that Trump is joining the tour. Listen to this.
And so we gather on these Clay Clark Reawaken America tours.
Clay Clark was the organizer. He's the one that started the Reawaken America tour.
Again, go to Time to Free America, timetofreeamerica.com. Look up the event that you think that you would like to attend and use the promo code RightSide over there. And you can get discounts and free access to the meet and greets where you can meet myself, Ann Vandersteel, Mckay, just to name a few, General Michael Flynn, perhaps Eric Trump, and others who are on the tour. So make sure you stop by timetofreeamerica.com, promo code RightSide. So we do gather, and these are done with intent to educate, inspire, and motivate.
Educate? I would beg to differ on that one. I'm not so sure you're educating anybody on anything, but okay.
We now have the attention and the support of the Trump family. Eric Trump, Donald Jr. have been at these events. We will go up through at least November to the election in November, and we will, I'm told, we will have President Trump at the final event. Now, that will be record-setting, and it will be incredible.
So there's the announcement. Donald Trump is joining the tour, at least for the final event. But they have the Trump family, as they said. Eric and Donald Trump Jr. will be there. In fact, I think Eric's already made appearances and talked there. This clip is from mid-December 2021. This is the announcement that Eric Trump was joining the tour originally. And this is Clay Clark on the right. He's talking to a guy named Pete Santilli of The Pete Santilli Show. We'll get to Pete in a minute. Listen to Clay Clark's explanation of why it's so groundbreaking to have somebody as big and influential as Eric Trump there.
Trump has now joined the tour. And what that does, by Eric joining the tour, what that does is that brings people to the events that maybe think shows like yours and mine are crazy shows, because we share so much truth, Pete.
Truth may not be the word that I'd use. Fiction is probably more accurate, but okay. That's the point, though, isn't it? They're bringing attention to the absolutely unhinged ideas that Pete Santilli, Clay Clark, and all of the others have to offer. Absolutely unhinged ideas. So what are those ideas? You guys may not know Pete Santilli, but again, he's at the Reawaken America tour, so let's just watch one of his clips, see what he's all about. This is early August 2021 with Deanna Lorraine, which, by the way, Deanna Lorraine was an InfoWars correspondent for a while and then ran for Congress. Listen to Pete Santilli.
The people now that are learning more about the adverse impact of getting vaccinated.
There is no adverse reaction or consequence or whatever it was he said. What did he say?
Impact of getting vaccinated.
Impact, yeah. There's no adverse impact. It's a fabrication that's all in your head, Pete. There is no adverse impact.
Impact of getting vaccinated. They're having regrets about it because we're hearing about this shedding that's going on. And
vaccine shedding is something that can happen with certain types of vaccines, not with this type of vaccine. It is literally impossible, scientifically impossible, for people to shed with this type of vaccine. It does not happen. It is, once again, a fabrication in your own head, Pete, and it's propaganda
that's going on. And
the vaccine shedding,
and also the activation of the graphene oxide is actually sitting there dormant. But if it gets energized by something like 5G.
Wow, fit as many conspiracies in there as you can, huh? Graphene oxide, first of all, is not in the vaccine. That is another fabrication. 5G doesn't affect graphene oxide, and even if it did, there isn't any in the vaccine anyways. What are you even talking about? My phone currently, right now, has 5G signal. There is 5G signal in my area, and I got vaccinated. Guess what? I'm fine. How about that? So everything that this dude just said was complete nonsense from the ground up. Everything.
5G?
But look at his face right now. He's like, oh my God. He is so perplexed. Look, did he cross his eyes? I think he even crossed his eyes for a second. Now, maybe his eyes darted back and forth. Maybe that's what I was seeing. Yeah. Darting eyes when he says 5G. This guy honestly lives in a different reality. This is delusional talk. Full-blown delusional talk. Clinical delusion at this point, in my opinion. I'm not a psychologist. That's just what it seems like to me.
It's energized by something like 5G. It actually kills all the cells around it. That is so crazy to me. I mean, can you imagine if they just like activate and said, oh, all right, 1 million people are going to be gone.
He's saying if they activate 5G networks, like cellular networks, 5G cell networks in the United States, everybody who got vaccinated is just gone, he says. Full-blown delusional thinking. They do not live in reality with the rest of us. So anyway, that is Pete Santilli. Just want to give you a little primer into who he was. He's on the tour. The people we talk about from here forward will be at the tour with Donald Trump. Listen to this one. This is Stella Emmanuel, got famous for spreading a bunch of conspiracy theories, and Donald Trump, I believe, retweeted one of her videos where she was just spreading just the craziest nonsense. Listen to this one, late March 2022.
Brothers and sisters, patriots, we are living in a time when there are 2 seeds in the world. The other seed is not human.
2 seats or seeds? I'm not fully understanding.
That seed is not human. And until we start realizing that we're dealing with creatures that are not human, you keep thinking people like Pelosi and Biden are human. I don't know where their human selves are. But the Bible says the devil would deceive the people of the world to create these images. So how does this deception take place? Be quiet, be quiet. Wait, you have time to shout. Just give me a few minutes.
She's saying Biden and Pelosi have been replaced with demons. Their minds are gone, and they've been replaced with demons. Demon clones.
What's happening to this seed? Listen, the devil will deceive them that if you die, you're going to live forever. We will clone you, download your brain to the Internet of Things, and then we're going to upload your brain back into that clone and you live forever. It's a deception. Because you see, Bill Gates has been deceived. Even the elites of the world that were human beings have been deceived.
Bill Gates has been deceived. They've all been deceived. I thought that they were the ones that were orchestrating this whole plan. What happened to that? Who's orchestrating this plan if not like Bill Gates or whoever else, George Soros and all that? All of the targets of the conspiracy theories you like to come up with.
Because if Bill Gates was going to die in 20 years, why is he trying to kill us? Why is he trying to preserve the world if he's living in 20 years? They have deceived him that when he will live forever, that when he dies, they will clone him, but he will die, or maybe he has already, and he would go to hell.
Okay, so they believe that Bill Gates and Joe Biden and Nancy Pelosi are going to, I guess their brains are going to be like uploaded onto the internet, and their bodies will be replaced with demons, except their brains aren't actually going to be preserved. I guess their consciousness is just going to hell rather than going to the internet. This is at Reawaken America, by the way. There's a banner at the bottom of the screen you can see here. It says, Experience Clay Clark's Reawaken America. She is at Reawaken America saying this stuff. You know, the conference that Donald Trump is going to go to, the conference that Eric Trump and Donald Trump Jr. have been attending and speaking at this whole time. Yeah, she's speaking there right now.
They will clone him. All right. But what is going to live in those clones will be demonic spirits. And that is why their agenda is so evil.
Okay, a lot of non sequiturs there, but I digress. We're not even going to get into that right now. Point is, this woman is going to share a stage with Donald Trump. Like I said, Donald Trump already retweeted some video that she was in, like when he was still president. If that's not an endorsement of the person, I don't know what is. Retweeting a video that she was in, and afterward, sharing a stage with her. For those of you who have been involved in the vaccine conspiracy theorist movement for a while, you'll recognize who's on screen now. This is Sherry Tenpenny. She had some interesting stuff to tell us, so let's listen to this one. Again, another person who's going to be sharing a stage with Donald Trump at the Reawaken America tour, late January 2022.
And I want people to remember this term, because you're going to hear a lot of it in the next year. Quantum entanglement.
When I hear that term, I'm immediately skeptical. I have read books about what quantum entanglement is and how it works and what we can learn and accomplish from it. But every time I hear that term from somebody who's not an actual scientist or researcher, like somebody like this, it ends up being some quack conspiracy theory about how they're trying to control your brain or some other nonsense. Deepak Chopra likes to talk about quantum entanglement a lot, too. For what it's worth, Sherry Tenpenny is actually a doctor, apparently. I don't know when she got her degree or how she got the degree, how she passed the tests while being so completely ignorant in every area of medicine. But she's a conspiracy theorist to the core, and I believe if she wasn't the one that started the key thing where it sticks to your forehead after you get vaccinated, if she wasn't the one that started it, then she at least propagated it. I remember seeing her at a couple of things where she did the key thing, like city council meetings and stuff where she did that. Deep conspiracy theorist, and here she is talking about quantum entanglement. Big surprise. Let's listen.
Remember this term, because you're going to hear a lot of it in the next year. Quantum entanglement. Quantum entanglement. Because when that's from a physics perspective, what happens when you take that shot in, there's all this entangling that goes on. And with the artificial intelligence...
No, there isn't all this entangling that goes on. God, I'll let it play.
Entangling that goes on, and with the artificial intelligence hooking you up to the Google credit scores and all the, all of the D matrix and all of those things, it's happening. And people.
D matrix? What is a D matrix? Do you want to explain any of this to me and explain how you know it in the first place? Quantum entanglement, if you're unfamiliar, is the phenomenon where atoms can entangle with each other, so what one does, the other one does too. So once you take a measurement of an atom, of one of its values, like its spin or its direction or whatever else, once you measure an atom, it kind of collapses the wave function, and you can't take other measurements. You can't measure other parts, basically. With quantum entanglement, there are two atoms that are linked together, and when you measure one and collapse its wave function, the other one also collapses at the exact same moment, instantaneously. It's a phenomenon of quantum physics that is absolutely fascinating. There's been a lot of speculation about how this works. Like, is this actual instantaneous, faster than light information sharing? When you collapse the wave function of one of these and the other one stops no matter where it is in the universe, whether one is on the North Pole and the other is on the South Pole or spread across the galaxy or whatever, it doesn't matter. This information sharing, is it actually instantaneous, or is it like you have two pairs of gloves? You have a left glove and a right glove. You put each one in a box. Somebody carries one box to each of the poles, north and south. The person at the South Pole opens the box and sees they have a left-handed glove. That means instantaneously they know that the other person will have a right-handed glove. Is it working like that? That was the question that Albert Einstein was asking when he was trying to figure out how quantum entanglement works. And they concocted a test that would determine if it really is faster than light information travel, or if it's just like left-handed, right-handed, like it's not really information sharing. It's just now that we know what this is, we know what that is, kind of like the glove analogy. And they determined after running these tests that it is, in fact, faster than light information travel. It was a massively big scientific breakthrough in the field of quantum mechanics. A really, really big deal. For that reason, a lot of scientists are mystified by it. They don't really understand how this works or how it can be physically possible for this to even be the case in the universe, because we thought that the speed of light was the speed limit of the universe and all this other stuff. For that reason, there's a lot of conspiracy theory that builds up around quantum entanglement. In reality, it's just a weird little quirk of the universe of quantum mechanics that we don't understand yet. One day we likely will if we survive that long. But conspiracy theorists take that wonder and amazement and lack of understanding or lack of knowledge in this field and leverage it to convince people that there's something supernatural or mystical happening, or that it can be used against you in some way, which is exactly what Sherry Tenpenny is doing here. Trying to convince you that they're using quantum entanglement in a vaccine. First of all, if we could harness quantum entanglement like that, we wouldn't have an information lag. Like, I'm on YouTube streaming right now. There's like a 20-second lag. If we were capable of harnessing quantum entanglement to communicate instantaneously like that, we wouldn't have lag at all. There wouldn't be lag. It'd be instant. The facts and the logic don't matter. They don't matter to people like this. It's irrelevant. What matters is convincing you that the vaccine is evil and that they're using quantum entanglement to tie you to Google's credit score, blah, blah, blah. It's nonsense from the ground up. By the way, I'm not a physicist. I hope I didn't get any of that incorrect.
It's happening in people that have already been injected. So what you need to do is...
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It's not happening. It was nonsense from the ground up.
It's happening in people that have already been injected. So what you need to do is really understand what their end game is and block it and repent and stand back, trust and truth, and lead into the Lord. And then that is your salvation, is to get that back into your body.
You catch all that? Lean into the Lord, repent. This is all supernatural stuff. It's all about Jesus with these people. They try to use science as far as they can. They try to ride it like a horse to get a little bit further among these conspiracy theorists. They try to con people into believing they know what they're talking about, but when it comes down to it, when it all boils down to it, it's all about supernatural claims. It's all about Jesus. That's it. I see the exact same thing with people who attack the trans community. They come up with all these bizarre ideas about this thing and that thing, try to use science to their advantage. When it all boils down to it, science is completely irrelevant to them. It really does not matter, not one bit. What matters is that they believe that you have a spirit, and that spirit is male or female, and you defying that hurts them. They take it as a personal offense or an offense against God, because God didn't create you that way. It's all supernatural nonsense all the way down. Again, she's sharing a stage with Trump. So is this guy, Scott Mckay, also known as Patriot Street Fighter. I have a lot of videos about him on my podcast channel. If you don't know who he is, you should watch the latest video. It was actually pretty popular when it came out. Late March 2022. Check this one out. This is quintessential Patriot Street Fighter.
You are now in this war. That's why you're here. Are you going to answer Christ's call? Are you going to be part of the ascending Christ consciousness on this planet so we bury this satanic architecture which has infiltrated every aspect of society?
Okay, so far I have no idea what this guy is talking about. Architecture, infiltrated, something.
Which has infiltrated every aspect of society. The Khazarian Mafia has been killing you. They're now killing you in hospitals.
Khazarian Mafia? What? What's he talking about? Yeah, he believes that the cabal, if you will. In fact, I think that's probably what he was talking about when he said Khazarian Mafia, whatever that is. I think it's talking about the cabal, the group of elites that are out to get you, Better watch out. They're coming for you. They're taking you out in hospitals and all this stuff. What's it like to live in a conspiracy theory universe like this? What is it like, you think?
They're killing you in the streets. They launched Antifa and BLM. That's when I blew the gasket.
Okay, now that's when I blew the gasket. Okay. This is what makes this guy concerning, what he's about to say. Listen to this.
That's when I said, okay, no governor, no president, no state legislature is going to say it. Then I'm going to say it. I'm going to come out and I'm going to rain this shitstorm down on all these scumbags until they are dead.
Yeah, that's not the only instance of him saying something like that. Check this one out. This is another appearance at Reawaken America from Scott Mckay, the Patriot Street Fighter, if you will. The people that I'm showing right now have gigantic Telegram channels, by the way. Some of them bigger than I am on YouTube, which is really saying something because Telegram doesn't have the kind of user base that you would need to like build a platform that way. Like YouTube is just flooded with viewers, like watchers and listeners, and it's not as hard to build a platform on YouTube as it is on Telegram. Telegram has a tiny user base compared to YouTube in a lot of ways. These guys have gigantic Telegram channels. Once again, Reawaken America, this is one of his appearances there. Listen to this one.
The new phase is I'm going to, as I keep getting more information coming in from my friends who are part of the murder machine of any hospital, I'm going to name names, show pictures where I can. These are the nurses, doctors involved in murdering this people.
The starting point that he's starting from is the cabal is coming after the people that he loves and trying to infect them with this illness or whatever. That's his starting point. When you start there, whatever path you take is going to lead you to nonsense and most likely violence. And it did. In his case, it did.
Start pushing these people into the public eye, and let's see how they like that battlefield.
Wow.
So he wants to dox healthcare workers.
Look, we can't allow the enemy or anybody to use our virtues against us.
That's right.
And I don't, obviously, we know that. And that's probably where I was able to overcome any barriers to letting Patriot Street Fighter rip and fly. I don't allow anybody to, the semantics of language or use my virtues against me. This is war. It's going to get bloody, and I'm going to get ugly too. No less ugly than any 1776 preacher that dropped his Bible on the lectern, grabbed his muzzle loader or musket and went out and put balls and bullets inside people and watched blood flow on a battlefield. That's what they had to do. That's in the name of Christ. It's an evil enemy. Any of the minions, including the doctors and nurses who are part of it, knowingly or unknowingly, that's not for me to sort out.
Yep.
But they need to know what's coming next, and that's the only other battle that I can see in my future now coming up after what happened to Kirsten W.
Notice he said no less so than 1776 preachers.
No less ugly than any 1776 preacher that dropped his Bible on the lectern.
He said no less so, not no more so. His listeners generally respect what happened in 1776 and don't think it was overkill, which is bad enough, but he doesn't intend to stop there. He intends to make it worse than 1776, hence his use of the term no less than 1776. So this guy has, I feel, clearly expressed an interest in violence, and it lives in a delusional world. Once again, this guy lives in a delusion. He believes the cabal is out to get him, and he needs to do anything he can to stop it, up to and including doing a new 1776 movement, and he got very explicit in that last one. That's who Trump is sharing a stage with. These are the people that Trump is sharing a stage with moving forward. As if Trump wasn't bad enough, he is now using his name and platform to elevate these people, to raise them up and make them more well-known, expose them to the world. We should be concerned.